This is a sad moment for the entire Arsenal team, Arsenal fans, the coach, the coaching crew, and lovers of Arsenal team. They are disappointed. They felt they needed more of this particular situation. Arsenal fans are devastated, to be honest with you. But however, I also noticed that some Arsenal fans felt very proud of Arsenal. They are proud of Arteta. They are proud of what the boys did, you know, in the journey to this particular point. They blame the loss to VAR and ref decisions. For them, the encounter between Mendes and Madueke should have been a clean penalty, and that penalty should have stood. And that if that had happened, Arsenal possibly would have won this particular encounter. But that is football for you. You know, when VAR favors you, you feel extremely happy. And then when VAR don't favor you, you feel sad. That's what's going on. Besides, that was the reason why Arsenal lost this game, in my view. I have one reason. There's one particular thing Arteta did that cost Arsenal this game. And in this video, I'll be explaining all that. Stick with us. Now, like I said, for Arsenal fans, I think they're actually very devastated. They never expected this. They wanted a celebration today, a parade that will have the two cups, the EPL and then the Champions League. Recall that Arsenal has never won this Champions League. That is a serious issue. Reasons why you've seen that game, they were more hungrier, they were more determined in their view, and they were actually more focused to win this game than PSG. That is Arsenal fans' view. But for PSG, it never happened that way. So before we go to what Arteta actually did that caused them this, let's look at PSG situation. Recall that PSG too, at the moment is celebrating as back-to-back champions of the highly rated UEFA Champions League. This is not just an ordinary trophy. It is a trophy that comes with legacy. It's a trophy that comes with that value. It's a trophy that is highly celebrated. And so they have made a statement, a bold statement that PSG is the kings of kings when it comes to UEFA Champions League. I think they are training lives of Real Madrid that won it back to back to back. But PSG has won it now back to back. So they are chasing Real Madrid. The last time we heard about back to back to back was Real Madrid. But Event has overtaken that one. Now PSG is the current champion of Europe when it comes to Champions League. So it is what it is. That is football for you. PSG actually from start to finish meant business. They were determined, they had focus, they wanted something, and that was to get this particular title the second time. For Arsenal, the mistake Arteta made in that game was the moment Kai Havertz scored that early goal. Arteta switched formation, he switched strategy, he switched his game plan, which was he took them to ask them to play a low block and then catch PSG on counter. He don't do that with a club like PSG because PSG is very disciplined at the back, they're disciplined in the midfield, and actually are very, very good when it comes to attack. You don't do that. You don't do that. So that was the major mistake Arteta made. What Arteta would have done, in my view, arguably was insist on attack. Because if you check yesterday, there are one or two occasions where Arsenal actually broke PSG defense and went in, but Kai Havertz could not close that particular situation. The first one he did well, and then he scored, which shows that if Arteta has attacked PSG back, there will be a lot of goals. This reminds me of what happened between PSG and Bayern. Recall what happened. There were a lot of goals because they played an open game. Bayern was attacking, PSG was attacking, so a lot of game came in, and the people had a lot of excitement. It was exciting. It was very interesting to watch. But what happened in this game? They played more of low block, and then that did give you a result. So it was a big mistake Arteta made. What Arteta would have done, Arsenal would have attacked and have got a result. And I can assure you that. Take that particular situation to the bank. The reasons why in football you just don't have one game plan. When someone doesn't work out, you switch as quickly as possible. So the reason why too, you can see the celebration on the part of PSG. Enrique has shown that he's not just an average manager. He's a top-notch manager. That's what he has shown. Now, Enrique's name has been written in the books of elite managers, where you see the likes of Pep Guardiola, Zidane, Ferguson, and Mourinho. These are the people you see in that level. winning Champions League, and all that. So the most important thing in this particular analysis is that lesson learned. Arsenal need to learn to switch to a lot of formations when it comes to football of this high level. Recall that Champions League is the biggest football event globally. It's not a place you go to have just some particular strategy and you think you can win Champions League. No, you need to have multiple strategies to win that game on and off the pitch. However, let's also give accolade to Arsenal. They did very well. They tried. If you check their journey through this Champions League season, you understand that they did well. It took out a lot of clubs and they find themselves in the final, with PSG. If you also look at PSG side too, we also need to give them accolade too. They did very well. They took out the likes of Bayern, took out the likes of Chelsea, took out the likes of Liverpool, took out the likes of Arsenal now, to clinch this particular title, making them a very special club in Europe at the moment now. Celebration is ongoing, However, Rice, the captain of Arsenal, said in his interview, quoting, that it was just like a lottery, that he made reference to a lot of big teams that actually lost some penalties. And so it's not a big deal. He enjoined Arsenal fans to understand the situation and embrace what it is, and they're going to fight next some other time. I agree with him on that. You just don't feel that because you've lost and then you feel very, very devastated. And then just understand situations and then try to work around it and then take the loss out. After all, Arsenal is still celebrating a PA title. That's football for you. In football, you cannot just predict what will happen. If it's a game of twists, anything can happen. So it is. Thanks for seeing our video. See you in the next one. Bye.